Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. All right, guys, this is for you. If you're somebody who is, let's say, currently dating in a relationship, even if you're married and you're saying to yourself, things are a little bit different lately, there might be some trouble in paradise, if you will. Well, got somebody who you should be talking to, and she is a dating and relationship coach specifically for guys. She is with True Connection, and she's Tamara J, and she's on the program with us. I can't wait to talk with her. Tamara, welcome. How you doing?
Hi, I'm great. I'm so glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
It's so good to have you here. And so many guys usually are uncomfortable talking to a therapist, a coach, and all of that. But we have to break through all of that, because if you want to understand what's going on in any relationship, you really need to talk with somebody like you. And do you experience that with guys just feeling a little uneasy to talk?
Yes, because even when I've spoken with guys that I know are stuck in a bad dating cycle, for instance, they're attracting the wrong women, they're getting friend-zoned, they still are, in between discouragement, they're still full of hope that they'll figure this out. Mm-hmm. So the reason I started focusing on men is because there's so many ways to get out of that cycle. And without any guidance, you are going to stay in that cycle, attracting the wrong women and getting friend-zoned, and then you're wasting years of time and money dating the wrong women.
Why? And I've heard that you attract the wrong people because you haven't figured yourself out. You haven't healed from certain, let's say, past traumas that you might not even be aware of. Is that what you feel as well?
Because your energy, whatever you put out there, is what you're going to get back. So, like when you're walking around the grocery store, you see people who are open, friendly, closed, busy, distracted. You're giving off that same vibe. And because our subconscious mind is driving the bus at least 95% of the time, mm-hmm. you don't even know what you're putting out there. And so that's why I focus on conscious dating, because if we can get you consciously putting the energy you want out there, then you can begin to attract the women you really want to date. Yeah,
we're on the same page with that. And it goes true for anything you do, any relationship. What you put out there is what you get back. And you might not be aware of what you're putting out there. So let's say, I'm going to go hypothetical here. Let's say you talk with a guy and he just seems to be attracting women that have lots of anxiety. Now, it's a big thing now, especially post-COVID. It's almost like an epidemic of anxiety. But if that's going on, what would you tell somebody like that?
Well, some men really enjoy being the rescuer or the savior, but not realize it. But let's say, they're in a long relationship or married. They come out of that relationship where they actually had to be the savior, the rescuer. They were doing all the things because their wife wasn't in a position to do so, or their marriage just evolved into something that didn't operate like that. Well, you walk out of that relationship then with those same patterns, and you're like, well, I can carry that load, I can carry that burden. And so then who are you going to attract? Women that do need rescuing, soothing, saving, comforting. Yeah, so you enjoy, subconsciously, you are just still wearing that hat, and you don't realize that you can let it go and go into something more balanced. So you actually do have to let that go before you evolve into what you really want.
Tamara, do you get to the heart of the matter in those kind of situations?
You have to, yes, because it is. I mean, men just jump back on and offline or are afraid to approach women. And to break any of those cycles that are preventing them to meet the type of women that they really want to date, you have to dig a little deeper. You have to get into that. And sometimes it's just exposing it. Right? Oh my gosh, I didn't even know I was doing that. Oh my gosh, I didn't realize I was so focused on being the nice guy that I was withholding my masculine energy. And so I get friend zoned every date.
Does that happen a lot on the friend zone side?
Yeah, it does. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Because we are all told, and it's sort of semantics, but it actually isn't. So we all think we want a nice guy, right? Women think they want a nice guy, but they actually don't. And men think they have to be the nice guy because that's the word we throw around. But what women really want and what men really want to be is a kind guy. And that's a completely different guy.
Okay. And when you say that women are looking for a nice guy, they're really not?
They're not.
What are they?
They want a kind guy.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's define.
There's a big difference.
Let's define the difference between a nice guy and a kind guy.
And this is, again, really important, but it isn't semantics, but even though we interchangeably throw around the word, the nice guy is choosing his actions and his behaviors based on what he thinks everyone else wants. He's not doing what he thinks is right. He's doing what he thinks he's going to get in everyone's good graces. He's going to get, it's people-pleasing. It's getting people to like him. And so really, when you dig even deeper, that's controlling and manipulation and trying to get people to like you and come over to your side, so to speak, versus the kind guy. Kindness takes conscious effort, thought, and that is a guy that's doing things because he believes it's right, and not just right for the sake of right and wrong, but right for him. Right? So when somebody says, hey, do you want to serve on this board? A nice guy's going to say yes. Absolutely, because he thinks that's what they want him to do, and it's going to put him then in more favor. A kind guy is going to say, do I have time for this? Is this the right thing for my loved ones? Is this good for my partnership? Is this good for my kids? And then if he needs to, graciously say no.
It sounds here that he needs to be his authentic self, and he's really not.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
It's not coming from that place. A nice guy isn't coming from that place. A kind guy is, because what he thinks is right isn't about pleasing others. It's about doing right by himself and his family. Good boundaries, and then you have time. If volunteering really is a passion of yours, you have time for that because you've left time in your calendar for that instead of just things.
Yeah.
Fill your time.
And you know what? Sometimes life changes too. He might take on that responsibility, then things pivot over here, over there, and it's like, I'm still volunteering on the board here, but I'm not really feeling it as much because I got to take care of me and other things and other people, and then he might just continue to do it because that's what the nice guy would do.
Right.
What about suggestions for dating apps? There's basically, it's tough to meet people nowadays, and that's where a lot of people go.
Yes. Well, and what makes it even tougher is that 95% of the men that I ask, so the exception being some men in leadership and salesmen, men in sales, are still bold enough to approach a woman. 95% of the men are really, really, really cautious and just will not do it.
Yeah.
And so that leaves just online dating and doesn't allow to meet someone the old-fashioned way. So online dating has become critically important because that's the only option left. Men even hesitate to say yes to a blind date, which is a brilliant opportunity. Somebody that knows you thinks there's a possibility. And so when someone says to me, hey, do you want to go out on a blind date? I say yes, but are you okay if it doesn't work out? That takes all the pressure off and you go out and have a good time.
I have different trains of thought on that.
Okay, let's hear it.
I feel there has to be a physical attraction, and when you see a picture of somebody on a dating app, or if you're out somewhere and you see somebody, you're instantly thinking, I'm feeling that person, and then you go deeper in talking with them and such. If it's a blind date, you're missing that component, and you could. Okay, so it's like, all right, well, I had a nice night. We had a great conversation. Doesn't do anything for me, and that was nice. And then that's that. It depends. I guess it depends on what you're looking for.
Right. Well, and a lot of people just ask for that picture in advance, some background information, just to break the ice, so it's not a completely blind date.
Okay.
But I also recommend talking on the phone first.
100%.
You've broken the ice, you've had some playful banter, enjoyable conversation, and then it doesn't feel so awkward. You're not sitting down from a complete stranger.
Yeah. Oh, you are so right about that.
Yeah.
And same thing even with a dating app. If you meet somebody and it's almost like you shouldn't even waste your time just showing up unless you've had the conversation with somebody, because you get to know somebody very fast, even in one phone call. And I don't want to prejudge anybody, but I'll know right away from the texting if there's a connection. If you're in the same rhythm that they're in, and as you go on the dating app journey, you figure it out. It's like, no, this isn't working. I'm going to move on from this one. I've only invested like 2 days in messaging back and forth, but I'm definitely not feeling this. Or the other person could be talking to 5-7 other people, and you're getting like 3-word answers, and you could read it. You can figure it out.
Yes. Well, that first phone call is pivotal. I mean, don't even go out on a date till you've had a phone call.
Yeah.
Because you can spot crazy on the phone.
Yes, you can. Oh, I love that.
I mean, you really just want to treasure your own time. And that's part of growing into your confidence and your masculine energy with dating, because your time's important, right? Your time and money.
Yep.
Your resources are important. And so treasure that. And hers too, because maybe she decides. Do you want to go out with a woman that would have known that on the phone that you weren't a good match? No, it goes both ways. Yep. You're honoring both people. But again, you're breaking the ice. You have some things that you can pick up and talk about. And then also, it's really lovely to set the date details up on the phone, right? He comes forward with date, time, place, and you're working that out together, as opposed to just messaging where you don't have any voice inflection, a sense for anyone's personality. And that's just a really hard place. That just feels like such a cold entry into a date. But really, my primary reason for that is you want to spot crazy like on the phone.
I love your honesty, and that you're even going there now with Spot the Crazy. And in my dating journey, I'm going to say it was within the last 4 months. Had good texting conversation with somebody, got them on the phone, and I knew I'm not even exaggerating, in the first 3 minutes, got to get off the phone. But I continued, and all she did was spew about her ex, and just like really hardcore stuff. And I, ended the call, and I messaged her the next day, and I said, it was great talking with you, but I have to be honest, you seem like you have a lot of things that you need to heal from. And, I'm not ready to take something like that on. And she was cool with it, but it spotted it right away. Right away. Yeah. The phone call.
Well, if you're looking for a long-term relationship, your scope of preference and your radar, your red flags, your green flags are much different than someone that is looking for companionship, just wants to go out, have a good time, get to know lots of people. So right on for just setting that boundary, because that's a really big red flag, right? She's just not far enough along and doesn't have the same intentions that you do. So there's no point in going out. You're in different places, different intentions.
Yeah.
Let it go. Yeah.
And somebody else, me, anybody else, if it was a different time, they might have spewed about their ex. You shouldn't, but sometimes that stuff comes up, and sometimes you have a connection there even in that. But, save it for another time, I guess, maybe not the first phone call. So that's why right away. And it's nothing wrong with mentioning your ex, but in this phone call, it was substantial. Let's just put it that way. It's almost like Steve the therapist. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was Steve the therapist on duty. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, yikes.
Don't want to do that. Yeah. So how does it work with you if somebody wants to improve their relationships, figure out why things aren't the way they were looking for them to be in terms of their relationship and or dating journey? Or let's say they're in a relationship now and feeling a little uncomfortable about the way things are. How does it start with you?
So the great thing is the foundations for dating, you also need those same things for the relationship. So once you get into it, whether you're walking in with me you're in the dating stage or relationship stage, it's all the same things. The skills are the same, and you coming out and being your true you, your authentic self, is so important the whole way through. So we can look at your online profile, and we can talk before and after, like your next 3 dates. So before you go, are you ready? Getting prepared, right? So you're walking in with your authentic energy, your masculine energy out, right? So you have that balance right away from the get-go. And then you have the date, and then we can talk about, here's how it went, here's what went wrong, here's why we are or aren't a good match, or I really like her, what do I do now? Or we can talk about why dating's been hard in the past, because it's going to continue until you figure that out. Why aren't the puzzle pieces fitting together? So just getting to the bottom of that on a deeper level, or we can start out at the tip top with, like I said, talking before and after your next 3 dates to see what's going on and like kind of diagnose what's going wrong and what, might want to be changed, or what that guy might want to change. What feels uncomfortable? What doesn't feel good and authentic about that? And like the nice guy thing, that's only comfortable because that's what they've done for a long time. But that's not them. Yeah. So maybe we could just write that ship, and that would make a huge difference. Now we're out of the friend zone.
Even changing the profile, I remember, was it last?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was last summer or the summer before. I was hanging out. I got a lot of friends who are girls. We're hanging out at a restaurant waiting for a band to start. And we just went around the table and we're like, all right, let's critique all of our dating profiles. Let's just do that.
Great idea.
And it was an eye-opener. And there was one girl, and she was in her mid-30s and just can't find the right kind of guy. And I looked at her profile, and there's kids in it. And I'm like, why are you putting kids? You don't have kids. Like, why are they in there? And she's like, well, because that's really what I ultimately want. I said, I get that, but right away somebody's going to see that you have kids and assume, and then just swipe the other way. And then, she would put in pictures of Disney because that's her, she has an affection for Disney. So she changed her profile, and it wasn't more than maybe 5 months after that, she met somebody, and she just had a baby with them.
Aw, see, that's really good advice. You have to be, you have literally 1 second before someone swipes on your primary picture. Then they look at the rest if they like the primary.
Yeah. So
your pictures are way more important than they should be, but that's just the truth. And that's a whole philosophical conversation we don't need to get into, but it just is. And one of my number one tips is do not ever put other people's kids in your pictures. So, well done.
I wouldn't even, I don't think I would put anybody's picture in there. Any child, teen, whatever. I don't think it needs to be in there. No. Number one.
No, it's confusing.
Yes. Yeah. And number two, I can't tell you how many times you'll see a woman with a picture of another guy. And it's like, well, what is that her brother? Is that her former relationship? Is that a coworker? It's odd. It's awkward when you see that.
Or people have their wedding rings on because they haven't bothered to take a new picture.
I always look for that.
Okay. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm kind of just stammering here, wondering what you are thinking, because someone with honor that truly values relationships would never swipe on that person.
Right.
And they just wouldn't, because there are people online, and, we've unfortunately all learned this, that people in open relationships are online too. And if that's not the way that you go,
mm-hmm.
then if you want a more traditional monogamous relationship, you just have to look at so much more lately, and you just hope that someone that is with someone that wants an open relationship just says it.
Yeah.
Put it right in there. Put it in black and white right in your profile so we all know each other's habits, preferences, and boundaries.
I did meet somebody like that. She was not married, but she's looking for open relationships. I'm not. It was like it was an interesting conversation, and a lot of texting, and just very, very insightful. We have Jeff checking in from Camden, New Jersey, and instantfeedbacksteve@gmail.com is how he messaged us. He says, I'm dating someone who I feel could be a long-term relationship. I'm very mushy and very honest and open. She's not so much that way and seems somewhat guarded. Can you tell me if you think that's just the way she will always be?
Well, number one, ask her, right? Ask her why her guard is up. That really could be the way that she was raised, right? Our subconscious is almost fully developed by the time we're 7. So unless we proactively, like, reform those brain pathways, we are going to ride that way forever. She might have been raised that way. And it might be that, but she could change that if she wanted to. Now, I know that feels like asking someone to change, but she might, after, like gentle, insightful conversation, want to be open, be vulnerable, So it just depends. Also, too, sometimes in those relationships, the masculine, feminine energy is in a different balance. And so if, because we all have masculine and feminine energy.
Yep.
So if she felt like she had to, like at work, right, if you're a woman that just slays the dragon all day, you're going to take your masculine energy from that day into your date. And you're going to attract a man that carries more feminine energy who's maybe been raising children all day, and then he walks in with that energy. And now you've got an imbalance that isn't necessarily authentic. It's just what you walked in with.
Can we go over that? Can we do that again?
Oh, yeah.
I want to. Yeah, because that there's a lot to be said right there, and to look at it. So I totally get that everybody has masculine and feminine energy, and so you're saying if a guy has dealt with kids all day, and that's where he's coming from, he's probably going to have call it a more feminine side, or maybe in Jeff's situation, maybe a little more mushy, I'm guessing. I don't know.
Yep. Yeah, sure.
Wow. Okay.
So then you start off with an imbalance, and that's sometimes why a first, second, third date, it doesn't go past that. Because if you walked in accidentally without your authentic energy on, whatever that is, you're starting the relationship off on that foot right there, and the person across the table from you is making their assessment based on what you brought in that day. So I always say, sit in the car, in the parking lot, before you go in, center yourself, take deep breaths, visualize having a great date. So you're walking in with you, not all the drama of the day and all the pressure and decisions and children and things like that you've got going on in the rest of your life. You're truly present on your date, so you're presenting who you really are, and you have a chance. Because that way, if it doesn't work out, you're like, right on, we didn't work out, but he saw me for me.
Yeah.
And you don't have regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might not work out. It's okay.
Yeah.
At least now, after one meeting, instead of belaboring it. But I will say, based on talking to friends who are guys, a lot of guys just like to have relationships floating around out there. They might not commit, might be a little looser, whatever the reason for the relationship, whatever. There's many different reasons. It seems to me that guys are a lot like that, where women are not, where it's just like, no, I'm looking for one and that's it. Not saying either is wrong, but more guys like to do that, just kind of have, options, shall we say.
Yes. So it's really important to just clarify with each other and put this in your profile, what your true intentions are for right now. You can always update your profile later, but it needs to be accurate for the moment.
Yep.
So if you want casual monogamy, you want casual, you want open, you want long-term relationship, you want marriage, just put it in there so that we're all starting off on the same page. Because there's nothing worse than discovering the person sitting next to you on something wildly different.
Yep.
And then you're, again, discouraged, back to the drawing board. You wasted, time. So I just ask. If it doesn't come forward, if it's not in the profile, ask. Yeah.
What are you looking for? Just be open.
Right.
Profile picture, no sunglasses. Okay?
Oh my gosh, right?
Don't do it.
5 pictures with sunglasses and 2 dead animals.
Yeah.
And other people's kids and a hat. And no full body shots.
Yeah. Yeah. And no bathroom pictures either. Just no mirror bathroom. No. Don't want to see a fish.
Epidemic.
And the fish thing, I don't want to see even a woman holding a fish. But for, even guys, you must hear so many stories, Tamara. You must. And
yes.
I'm going to share one. We're just about out of time, but this one, stuff pops out of the sky into my brain, when I talk with somebody. I remember going on a date like a year and a half ago. It was okay. And I'm at a restaurant and we were joking about something. So went to the bathroom and I figured I would text her from the bathroom to kind of follow up on the joke, just to be, a little fun. And at the end of it, and it was all relevant, it was all good. At the end of it, I wrote, JS, which, most people take that as just saying. Came back, we joked a little bit more and it was all good. And then it, kind of started taking a weird turn on the way back. And I was just, and it just ended there. And then, I followed up and she was a little bit different. You know why? Because I wrote JS, I meant just saying. She thought it meant just sex.
What? Really? You were probably sitting there with your mouth hanging open like I am. Like, what?
Right.
Okay.
I'm like, never did I ever think that somebody would take that, like acronyms for stuff in texting.
Right.
Just saying. Just saying.
Yes.
But it wasn't destined ever to be anything serious anyway. And I knew that out of the gate. So it was, no loss or anything, but it was just kind of funny that, she took it that way, or maybe she wanted to take it that way. I don't know. But, just it's all part of the, I guess, the dating journey that many of us have. But for that, there's you to help us along with that journey. Best way to reach you, Tamara. How do we do that again?
My website. at gmail.com.
Gotcha.
So Tamara. Yes.
Don't forget the dot.
Email me and we can chat and, set up a time to talk about where you want to go with this. Absolutely. It's time to start dating women that you really want to attract and get out of the friend zone.
Yeah. Yeah. And people that support you, stop wasting your time, which so many guys do. It's, and they can't figure out why. None of it, just life in general. Sometimes you can't figure it out, but I love, trust me.
Yes, exactly. Well, and honestly, decades go by for some guy trapped in this cycle. And that just breaks my heart. I want them to really find, somebody amazing. Yep.
But you know what? You got to figure it out. And I love the fact that you also are aware of the subconscious and how it can or can't support you based on stuff that happened in your childhood. And, there are great, dating coaches out there, but sometimes they don't get that. And I think that's the baseline for a lot of challenges that guys and girls have.
Yes. Well, just like you were saying, the woman that misinterpreted your messages.
Yeah.
She's viewing that through her lens.
Yeah. Yep. And I understand it. I get it. It was just one of those crazy situations. With we can talk next time we get together. There's a lot to go over here.
Yes.
Good stuff, Tamara. Great having you on, and look forward next time we get a chance to talk. And I'll be looking for your dating profile.
That sounds great.
All right.
Thank you, Steve.
We'll talk soon, and we're coming right back. Hang on.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down,
It's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.